Okay, so today we are learning different ways of factoring. We're going to learn different methods. So the first method is the greatest common factor. So what I'm going to do with number 1 is I can divide both of these by a 2. That is the largest number that I can divide both of these by. Now let's look at the variables. This one has 3 A's and this one has 2 A's. So the greatest one that they can both give me is A squared. They can both give me A squared. So 2A squared is the greatest common factor. Now remember, we are factoring. So my answer, I'm going to simplify this. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I have 3 A's on top and 2 A's on the bottom. Those 2 A's cancel with these 2 A's and I'm left with 1 A. Now let's do the second one. 10 divided by 2 is 5. These A squares cancel out. So this is what I'm left with. And on the outside, I will put my greatest common factor. The reason why you cannot leave out this last step of putting this outside is because you have to be able to get what you started with. If I multiply this back in, I'll get 12A cubed. If I multiply this back in, I'll get 10A squared. Okay, the whole thing about factoring is you want to be able to get back what you started with. Okay, so that's your answer. Okay, that's your answer. All right, I'm going to do number 4. I'm going to let you guys do number 2 and number 3. I'll do number 4. So what number can all of these be divided by? 4. And they can all give me at least how many x's?
1.
Yep, they can all give me at least 1 x. And y?
1.
Just 1. Now we simplify. So your greatest common factor will always be on the outside. 16 divided by 4 is 4. I have right here, I have 3 x's in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. So I'm left with 2 of them. And your y's cancel. Okay? Minus 12 divided by 4 is 3, and I'm left with an x and a y. 32 divided by 4 is 8. These x's cancel out. I have 3 y's on top, 1 in the denominator. That leaves me with 2 y's, so y squared. And that's your final answer. So you guys will be doing number 2 and number 3, same process, okay? All right, now let's talk about differences of squares. Before we do this, let's talk about perfect squares. What are numbers where you automatically know what the square root is?
25.
Yes, 25 is one of them. I'm gonna put that in the middle. 36, what else?
16,
81.
16, good. We're skipping them, we're jumping around.
100.
What's between 36 and,
49.
okay, good, 49.
64.
64, good.
4.
Okay, 9, 4, 1, okay, y'all just jumped all over the place. Okay, so let's pause here, hold on, let's make sure we understand what we're doing. The square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, square root of 16 is 4. These are perfect squares. We have 100, 121, and 144 we can add to the list. So these are our perfect squares. Okay? So let's talk about the difference of squares. Let me write down the rule for you. A squared minus B squared can be factored as A plus B and A minus B. Please write that down. And I'll do number 5 as an example. Okay, let's look at this. How can we rewrite 25 so that I have some number squared would give me 25? Thank you. So let's write this as m squared minus 5 squared. You guys see that? 5 squared is still 25. So we didn't really change anything. We just changed what it looks like. Now I can use my rule. So the rule says if I have an A squared minus a B squared, I can write it like this. And that's what I have. I have something squared minus something squared. So I'm going to use this formula. So the A plus B, that would be M plus 5. And then A minus B, that would be M minus 5. That's your answer. Let's try number 7. Let's try number 7. Okay, first of all, you always need to see if you can divide both by something. So what can 5 and 80 both be divided by? 5, good. So let's do that first, and then we'll start. So this will become, remember, your greatest common factor always goes on the outside. This will become r squared minus 80 divided by 5 is 16 s squared. Okay, so that's what this looks like. And this is a difference of squares problem. So let's figure out how to rewrite this. Let's ignore the 5 for now. That's just on the outside. I have an r squared minus, I want something else squared, because let me bring your attention back to the formula. The formula wants something squared minus something else squared, okay? So we have r squared minus, we need to put something in here and square it to use the formula. Now, how can I rewrite this 14? This 16. Yes, I can put a 4 in here. So guys, draw some parentheses and put a 4 in there. We're going to put a 4 right there. Because 4 squared will give me the 16. And then put an s. So guys, we rewrote 16s squared as 4s squared. Now it's in the right format. Okay? Now we can use the formula. So the formula is A plus B. So your A is R in this case, and then your plus B would be plus 4S. And then do the opposite, R minus 4S. And don't forget to put that 5 on the outside that we divided by in the very beginning. Okay. I'll do number 6 with you. First of all, can 9 and 49 both be divided by the same thing? Can 49 be divided by 3? No. Can 49 be divided by 9? Okay, so we can't divide them both by something. Okay, so let's rewrite this. I want something squared minus something squared. We'll put the x and the y in there. How do I rewrite this 9? 3, because 3 squared would give you that 9. And this would be a 7, because 7 squared would give you the 49. So we just rewrote the problem. Now I can use the formula. You want A plus B, so that'll be 3x plus 7y times 3x minus 7y. That's the answer to number 6. I'm going to let you guys do number 8. The hint is, actually, this is the one people struggle with. I'm going to let you guys figure this out, and then we'll come back together. But first, divide by 2. Once you divide by 2, 2 will be on the outside, and you have to rewrite what you have. What are you going to put in here and square? Minus what will you put in here and square? Okay, I'm going to pause it here and let you guys figure out number 8. Okay, number 8, y'all did a great job. So what's 72 divided by 2? 36. So this becomes 36c to the 4th. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. And then, let me squeeze a little 2 on the outside. Okay, so this is what we have. This is how we rewrote it. Okay, so that 2 stays on the outside. How can I rewrite 36 so that I can get a squared? 6, good, because 6 squared is 36. And what do I put on this c, so that'll be a c to the fourth. Yes, I need a 2. So c squared is c to the 4. So that's what needs to go into my first parentheses. Now for 1, well, you can just put a 1 there. 1 squared is still 1. Okay? So that's my a and my b value. So we can use the equation. We're going to say a plus b times a minus b. So I'm running out of space. I'm going to do it up here. So a is here. So that's a plus b, and then a minus b. So this is your answer for number 8. Oh, sorry, thank you. Put that 2 in front. We divided by 2 in the very beginning. Keep that 2 out there. All right, so that is the difference of squares. Now, we're going to move on to a review, factoring trinomials. I'm just going to do one with you because you guys know how to do this. I'll do number 25. I need 2 numbers that multiply to 64, but add to give me negative 16. Yep, negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. Negative 8 plus negative 8 is negative 16. So your answer is p minus 8. You have 2 of them, so just put a square. Those are your factors. I'm gonna let you guys do the other 3. All right, guys, this is the next part of our notes. We're gonna be talking about perfect cubes. Perfect squares we know how to do, right? We listed them. Now we're going to do perfect cubes. So guys, 1 times 1 times 1 is what? Okay, what is 2 cubed? 8, because 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8. Try 3, what's 3 cubed? Good, 27, because 3 times 3 is 9, times another 3 is 27. What's 4? 64, what's 5? Good, 6? Yes, good, 7? Good, 343. Next one. I'll just give it to you. Good, 512, and then 729. Okay, so go, guys, those are the perfect cubes.
1 and 9.
No, 27. Oh, this one, yeah, 729. I don't know what I said. Okay, rules. A cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. Write down the rule, and then we will do some examples. Okay. Now, the reason why we listed all of the perfect cubes is because it will help you. Okay, so like for example, let's look at number 14. Looking at number 14, for 64, how can we rewrite 64? What do I put in here?
4.
Yes, because 4 times 4 is 16, times a third 4 is 64. So that's how we rewrote that one. Let's rewrite 343. That's this one. 7. Okay, so that means 7 times 7 is 49, times another 7 will give me 343. So that's how we're rewriting these. And we'll just use the formula. Notice I have, let me highlight what we have. I have a cubed, just like my formula, a cubed plus b cubed. This is my b value cubed. Now that we rewrote it, let's use the formula. So the formula calls for a plus b first. So my a is 7p, and my b value is 4q. And then we're gonna do a squared. So that means this is my a value. If I square it, what's 7 squared? 49 and then p squared. Minus, it wants us to do a times b. This is a, this is b. So 7 times 4 is 28. And then you have p cubed. Finally, it wants us to do b squared. So let me highlight this. This is the b value, we're gonna square it. So 4 squared is 16, and then q squared. So that's your whole answer. You just use the formula. Okay, number 15. First, what can these both be divided by? They can both be divided by a 4. Because guys, my goal is to get it to be one of these numbers. 4 is not up here. So I wouldn't be able to write this as a cube. Okay, so if I divide it by 4, it'll become a 1. And what's 500 divided by 4?
125.
Oh, these numbers are both up here. You see that? This one's 125, and I have a 1 up here. That's my goal. I need perfect cubes. And then let's write the little a cube there, and then the 4 goes on the outside. Okay, so we factored out the greatest common factor. Now, guys, we need to rewrite this. How can I rewrite 125? Yes, this will be a 5a, and this one will just be a 1 cubed. Don't forget that 4 on the outside. Because 5 cubed is 125, and then the a will be cubed as well. And then 1 cubed is just 1. So we rewrote this. Now that we rewrote it, we can do the formula. Okay, so let's do the formula. The formula calls for a plus b. This is the a value, and this is the b value. So we add those together. So my first parentheses will be 5a plus 1. That's a plus b. Next, I'm going to do the a squared part. Let me highlight what we're doing. So this is a squared, and this is my a value right here. So I have to square 5a. That will become 25a squared. Minus AB. AB is 5a times 1, so this 5a. And then we want b squared. We want b squared last. This is your b value. So 1 squared is just 1. So that's your answer. So guys, I'm going to have you do the rest of sums of cubes. All right, guys. Just remember one last thing that we forgot to mention. Make sure that you put that 4 on the outside. Bring down that 4. Just like we had it here, bring down that 4. So this is your final answer. Your greatest common factor always goes on the outside. All right, here's number 11. We can write this as x cubed plus 27 can be written as 3 cubed. So now I have it in this form. So that means a and b, well, this is a and this is b, so that'll be x plus 3. And then this part, a squared would be x squared. AB is x times 3, that's 3x, and we're subtracting it. Plus, it wants b squared, so this 3 squared would be 9. So this is your answer for 11. Any other questions on this practice part? All right, let's look over 16. Did everyone have enough time to try 16?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys more time to try 16 on your own before I go over it. I'm now gonna go over number 16. Now, before we get started, notice this number 375 is not on our list here. 24 is not on our perfect cubes list. That means we're gonna have to divide, okay? So let's go ahead and divide. Let's try to divide these by 3. Because 24 divided by 3 will give me this 8 right here. Y'all see what I'm talking about? Okay, so I'm going to divide these both by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Plus, and then 375 divided by 3 is 125. Okay, what else can I divide both of these by? Can these both give me a C? Yes, they can both be divided by a C and a D. So that will go on the outside. 3CD will go on the outside. Okay, now let's write what we're left with. Guys, right here, there's 4 C's on the top and there's 1 C in the bottom. Those cancel. How many C's am I left with? Yep, 3. Those D's cancel. And for this one over here, these C's cancel. How many D's am I left with? 3. So I'm going to write this as plus 125D cubed. Okay, now that we did the greatest common factor, we can now rewrite these as perfect cubes. Okay, so how can I rewrite 8? Yes, I can do 2C and I can cube it, right? Because 2 cubed is 8, C cubed will give me the C cubed. How can I rewrite 125? 5. So do you guys see how we rewrote these? Now we're going to use the formula. So I want, this is my A plus B is going to happen first. So this is A and this is B. So that means this will be written as, I'll put my answer up here. 2C plus 5D. And then I'm going to do A squared. So what's 2C squared? Yes, 4C squared minus 4 times or A times C. So what's 2 times 5? 10, and then CD. Okay, and then I want to do B squared. So what's 5D squared? Yes, so this will be plus, I'm running out of space, 25D squared. And what goes on the outside? 3CD, that was your greatest common factor. So this is your answer. Okay, so now guys, we're moving on to difference of cubes. Here is the rule, and it applies this, you're going to use it the same exact way. The rule is if you have A cubed minus B cubed, you will have A minus B times A squared, and this is what changes. This will be a plus sign. Please note what the difference is. When you do difference of cubes, this will be a minus. These will all be plus. Okay? All right, and it's the same process. I'll do one example with you. I'll do number 21. You guys can do the rest of these. Okay, so were these numbers on my list for perfect cubes?
Yeah.
Really? 4 is on the list? Let me look at the list. These were the list of numbers. 4 and 32 are not on this list. I'm looking up here. Not on the list. So we need to divide. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 4. So divide all these by 4. This will give you 1 minus 8h cubed. Are 1 and h on my list?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay, now let's go ahead and rewrite this. 4 is on the outside. 1 can be written as 1 cubed minus, what will go in here to make it a cubed? 2, because 2 cubed will give me 8. And then don't forget your variable. Okay, so let me highlight what we have. I have an A value cubed. That's what I want, A cubed, minus the B value cubed. So this is my B value and it's cubed. So now let's use the formula. Okay, so the formula, it says A minus B, so that'll be 1 minus 2H. A squared, well, that's just 1 squared, so that's 1, plus AB. A is 1, B is 2H, so this will just be 2H. And then B squared. 2H squared is 4H squared. So this is my answer, but don't forget that 4 on the outside. You have to put that GCF on the outside. Okay, so I'm not going to do any more examples of these. It's the same as sum of cubes, just a different formula. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and let you guys practice this. Okay, so now we are going to do grouping whenever you have 4 terms. Notice we have 4 terms here. We have 4 things up here. Step 1 is we're going to group the first 2 terms together and the last 2 terms. So just split it. This is a group and this is a group. That's what it means to group. Okay, step 2, factor the GCF for each group. So guys, for this group over here, what is the GCF?
X squared.
Good. So we're just doing what we already know. X squared goes on the outside. What's left? Plus 1. Those cancel. You're just left with 1. Okay, now let's do the other side. We're still in step 2. Factor the GCF for each group. So let's do this group over here. What can these both be divided by? -4. So -4 goes on the outside. And what remains? Yep, X. Well, what's -4 divided by -4? Plus 1. Now, this is how you know if you did this correctly. These need to match. You guys see what I'm talking about? I have an X plus 1 on this side, and I'm left with an X plus 1 on this side. You need to be left with the same thing. If you're left with different things, then you did something wrong, okay? All right, now, let's write how we're going to do our factors. Whatever is repeated, so here the X plus 1 is repeated, that will be one of your factors. So write down that. Your other factor is what's on the outside. So X squared minus 4 is your other factor. Those are your 2 factors. Okay, now step 3, we need to factor this one. This will be X plus 2 and X minus 2. And this can just come down. So your final answer is this. Do you guys know how we did X squared minus 4? That's this one up here. Let me go back to the notes. This is difference of squares. So whenever you have a difference of squares like we have here, you write it as A plus 1. I'm sorry, A plus B times A minus B. That's what we did for that one. So if you were to rewrite this, you would write it as X squared minus 2 squared. This is your A squared and your B squared. That's the rule that we just went over. So the rule is if you have A squared minus B squared, you write it as A plus B and A minus B. So here you have X squared minus 4. You need to rewrite this as X squared minus 2 squared so that it looks like this. Yes, so 2 squared is 4. I need B squared. I wrote it like this.
Oh,
You see? Okay. And so now I have X plus 2 and X minus 2. Because you do A plus B and then A minus C. A minus B. So these are your 3 factors. So that is your example. I'll do this one with you. split it down the middle, and let's do our greatest common factor. What can these both be divided by? V squared. So V squared goes on the outside. I'm left with 4V minus 5. What can these two both be divided by?
Four.
Not just 4, negative 4, because if this is negative, let's make it positive. So negative 4 will be on the outside. This will become 4V minus 5. Notice these match. So your answer will be 4V minus 5. And then what's on the outside? V squared minus 4. V squared minus 4. And then the same thing. This can be factored as V plus 2 and V minus 2. So your entire answer will be this and this. So you would write it as V plus 2, V minus 2, 4V minus 5. Those are your factors.
So where did this thing-
It came from right here, V squared minus 4. So the outside one forms a factor, and what's repeated forms another factor, okay? Do y'all need one more example? No?
I mean,
Here's this one. These both can be divided by a negative 1. So this will be C plus 9. These match, so we did it correctly. So my factors, one will be C plus 9. The other one is what's on the outside. So the other one is C cubed minus 1. Do not leave it here. You need to use the difference of cubes to finish factoring this. Difference of cubes. That formula is if you have A cubed minus B cubed, you'll have A minus B times A squared plus AB plus B squared. So this will be C minus 1, C squared plus C plus 1, C plus 9. You had to use difference of cubes. All right, so guys, that is the end of the practice. You guys will do the rest.